What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. We are back in the studio finally. Isolation period's over.
Feels good. Feels good to be back.
I'm so excited to be back, and yeah, let's get into it. Since we had left this studio, it was just before the Euros final. We didn't really know what Don Paratici was cooking up in his office over there in his phone. But it's clear and evident for everyone to see right now that Don Paratici is clearly at the wheel, and things are happening, aren't they, Sim?
Definitely. He's got deals cooking up left, right, and centre. 5 centre backs, for a few right backs, a few centre mids. It's how he likes to negotiate. So I'm here for every second of it. I'm absolutely loving it at the moment. The way he's dealing with what we need to do this summer, and what I'm so happy about is we're being very in terms of getting players out the door, being very tactful in terms of making sure we free up enough space so we can really refresh the squad. And I think we know this summer what we really want to, who we really want to get rid of, who wants to be part of the squad for next season. And I'm very, very happy that players who've just been here for way too long, I think, are finally getting shipped out. And I think that's a real positive thing. And I really think we're getting a refresh now.
I mean, it seems as though finally we're getting that painful rebuild that Poch spoke about. But it doesn't seem too painful. It seems as though like it was something that was just so much needed. These players going out the door. You're talking about getting players out, which we've wanted out for a while. I mean, look at Eric Lamela, for instance. I mean, it's not someone that I was desperate to get out in the summer, but it's someone that probably you would say has overstayed his welcome at Tottenham. I thank him and I commend him for his efforts he has given to the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, but I think that it was time for him to go. Definitely, even a year ago, maybe it was time for him to go. And I'm happy he's going through the door. But that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate his efforts at Tottenham. I don't know that he's had some really good moments in the Tottenham shirt. But ultimately, we're not a charity case at Tottenham, and we can't be here just giving people 10, 15 games a season. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And the thing is, he's been doing it pretty much since he's come to Spurs. I don't think he's ever had a season ever that he's played like over 30 games. So I think it has come to the time now. I'm just happy we're being a bit ruthless this summer, as it seems anyway, as opposed to other summers where we've kind of been trying to get rid of players but have unrealistic prices, and we end up sticking with way too many players we wanted to get rid of, and then all of a sudden it comes to the new season and we have mostly the same players because we're not being ruthless enough in getting rid of them. And it seems like this summer things seem to be changing. I think Paratici is getting the ball rolling. And, you hear this quote from him. He's been doing the rounds. Maybe I can get it up on the phone even. Let me see if I can get it up on the phone. Which is exactly the mentality that we're talking about. He says, I learned an important rule. If you like a player and you consider him important, you can pay a little more than the market price because you have to buy this guy. This can only happen if you are convinced of the player's skills and potential. If you see a top talent and are sure of him, you cannot lose him for a few million. Pay and then move on.
This is actually just you reading that quote there. I've read that 2 or 3 times, but just you reading that quote there is giving me butterflies in my stomach.
I don't know if that's sorry. I don't know if that's like a new quote. Maybe it was him at Juventus.
It's irrelevant when that quote was, because that is exactly what has been going wrong with Tottenham over the past 20 years. Penny pinching for 1 million, penny pinching for 2 million.
How many players you've lost out because of a few million?
We could have had Jack Grealish 3 years ago if that wasn't the case. And I mean, this guy coming in, I mean, what's your opinions on Daniel Levy now, seeing as Paratici's coming in and like doing a good job in his place, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's what's been needed, isn't it? We know we've needed someone to take the reins of the footballing side and not and take the pressure off Daniel Levy in terms of always having to negotiate, always having to be way too involved in who we're buying and who we're interested in and things like that. Him being on the transfer committee and stuff like that. We all knew that getting a director of football was crucial this summer. So look, I'm happy he's got Paratici in. I'm happy that Paratici seems to be doing the work that we all wanted him to do. And this is the mentality of that quote that we needed. We absolutely needed to have this summer, because the amount of times that we've been faffing around over a few million here and there when we really needed this player. Think of, even like Bruno Fernandes we probably could have had if we weren't faffing around over a few million. Paulo Dybala we could have had. As you said, Jack Grealish we could have had. There are so many players. I think even when Poch first came in, like Morgan Schneidlin, these kind of players who we missed out on a few million, we couldn't get it over the line, and then we end up going for a much cheaper option. It's happened so many times, and we could be in a very different place now if we had this mentality a while ago. And I'm happy Paratici's coming. Is like, and he knows how to act like a big club. He's been at a big club now for 15 years, 20 years. He's been at Juventus. Knows what it's like to be a club who consistently keep their standards year on year on year.
And also, like he was kind of responsible for bringing Juventus back. He was there from the start of it, from when they got promoted from Serie A B. Obviously, after all the madness that went down in Serie A with Juventus, but he was there for every single one of their accolades since they got promoted. You know, I think it was like 10 Serie A titles in a row or something crazy like that, 9 or 10, I think it was. And he went into Juventus. Yes, they were obviously a big club because they're always going to be a big club, but they were not where they were supposed to be. They hadn't won a title in quite a few years. I think Inter Milan had won like 5 or 6 titles. So he brought Juventus back to the top of the Italian game. And look, I'm not saying that Tottenham are anywhere near that stature, but at least it's a step in the right direction, and you can see things moving definitely in the right direction with Tottenham right now.
But that's the mentality we need at this club. We need someone to start treating this club like it's a big club and not like we're back in 2005 and pinching for every single little penny we can and trying to shave every single penny we can off the price and stuff like that. We need someone who can come in and say, look, if you want to be a big club, if you want to start playing properly with the big boys, then yes, you've had some success overachieving in the past, but if you want to sustain that for a long period of time, this is how you got to act. And that's the most positive thing, having Paratici through the door, I think. And he knows what it's like. He's been there and done it. So and he's saying the right things at the moment. So
and the amount
that's
of contacts
impressive
and stuff he's got in the game, and you know, apparently like the guy never. I don't know. Did you read that that Guardian report on Paratici? I mean, that was amazing, wasn't it? I think that quote actually came from that article. I believe, but anyway.
Because
was
that's
it Romano?
Romano, I think did the article.
And like he was just saying, this guy never ever stops working. Like, when does he sleep? He's constantly on his phone. And Romano came out with a snippet saying he was once walking around Milan at like 1 a.m. and he just saw Paratici just like pacing up and down on his phone at like 1 a.m. trying to get some deals done. And the guy just never ever stops working. He's always on his phone, and he likes to be involved in every single part of the club. Like, not only is he going to the pre-season friendlies against Colchester and against Leyton Orient and stuff, but he's also at the under-23 pre-season friendlies, like against Enfield Town and stuff like that. So I mean, the guy is involved in everything, and he just wants to see everything. He wants to get the vibe of what everything's going around. He needs to know what kind of players are coming through the academy, and he's non-stop working on deals to bring players through the door, bring players out the door. And I think that when you look at the kind of sporting directors, or he's not even a sporting director at us, he's called the general football manager, whatever it is. I mean, we've had guys through the door: Franco Baldini, Frank Arneson, Damien Comoli, you know, all these guys, and no one has made an instant impact like Paratici has. None of them.
I think Frank Arneson was pretty good at the time, if I remember rightly.
Frank Arneson was good, but I don't think he ever made as an instant impact as Don Paratici did.
Yeah, Paratici's definitely making waves, and I think he's taking this club. I think, look, we all know this club for a couple of years now has been stagnating, and it really has lacked direction. We all know, we've seen it, even in the managerial search and things like that. We've seen the complete lack of direction at this football club from a footballing standpoint, and it's so it was clear for everyone to see someone had to take the bull by the horns and take control of footballing matters at this club. And I think Paratici is the perfect person, clearly, to be doing that. So I'm very happy with how things are going. I'm happy at the moment, although it is still 3 weeks away. There's still a lot of work to be done before the start of the season. But, I think getting Toby Alderweireld out the door, despite him, people saying he's you could easily argue he's right now our best centre-back. But, aging, high wage bill, if we really want a proper refresh, we need to make some sacrifices and we need to make some bold calls. And I think letting Toby Alderweireld go at that price is a bold call, but I think it's a call that needs to happen, and that's what Paratici saw. Trying to using Lamela as a make weight in that deal for Bryan Hill is a good call. Trying to use Sanchez as well in the Koundé deal. These are things that previously they weren't getting done, but Paratici is getting these things done, which is really great to see.
He's got that like creative mind for transfers that obviously Daniel Levy just does not have. Which is clear for everyone to see.
Look, Daniel Levy's, we all know, is a tough negotiator, and it comes with good things. And we've in the past we've gotten signings through the door and great prices and great deals, and we praise him when he gets a good deal. But for every good deal, there's someone we've missed out on because he doesn't want to go the extra mile to actually get the player in, and he'd rather be a tough negotiator and say, look, I'm sticking to this standpoint, and that's it. I'm not moving, and that's cost us.
And also under Daniel Levy in the past 2-3 years, past many years, like we've struggled to get the deadwood or to get players that we wanted out the door because Daniel Levy wants his price and he won't budge. Paratici is finding creative ways to get round that.
Exactly, and that's the most important thing. Look. I'm starting to get a bit excited about where this summer is heading and what next season has in store. Hopefully, Nuno can get the players that he wants to make it work completely in his vision, and that's the most important thing. And I think Nuno. I'm getting a bit excited for Nuno because I think he's come in. And I think he knows that that pragmatic style he played at Wolves in the last season, that's not how we're going to be playing. That's not how we're going to be setting up next season. He's getting the physical elements correct, which have kind of gone by the wayside for the past couple of years since Pochettino's left, which is the most important thing. So I'm starting to get excited about where we could be heading. But as I said before, there's still a lot of work to be done. We need to there's still a lot of outgoings and incomings to happen. They're saying this week is going to be a very busy week. That's what Alistair Gold is saying. So I'm looking forward to what this week's going to bring.
Yeah, and we're back in the studio for it, so I can't wait to bring you every single bit of news that does come through this week. On another point, I do want to say about Daniel Levy that, yes, I commend him for bringing in Paratici and stuff like that. I do think it was massive for the club for Daniel Levy to do that. But on the flip side, I still am ENIC out. I still am Levy out, and I will not forgive or forget what they tried to do to us, especially with that Super League. Bringing in Don Paratici doesn't remove 20 years of bad decisions. You know what I mean? So I think with Daniel Levy, the jury is definitely, the jury's not even out. I still want him to leave the club.
Jury's back in.
The jury's back in, yeah. Like, I am still massively Levy out at ENIC out, but just because you're Levy out and ENIC out doesn't mean that you can't be excited about what's happening at Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, at the end of the day, we're all Spurs fans. We love football, and as much as we rail against the owners, which we do, and we understand how much they've been holding us back for the way they've been dealing with the footballing side. We're football fans at the end of the day, and I want to support my team, and I want to get excited about Tottenham, and I want to enjoy watching my team, and there's a lot of mental energy going into getting the owners out, but it can't just be that all the time, 100%. You know what I mean? Yeah. Otherwise there's no 100%. Fun being a football fan at all. There's not. What am I going to do? Just because I know they're not going to leave anytime soon. I know they're not going to sell up. So am I going to spend all my mental energy all the time just trying to get them out? I can't do that 100% of the time. We have to do that. Obviously we have to spend some energy, but it can't be that all the time. Otherwise there's no point following football. That's not what football's all about at the end of the day. So yeah. I completely agree with that.
All right, well, we're going to start getting some callers on. We do have some people waiting in the back end. Just to let you know that the link is in the community section right now. So if you do want to come on any topic regarding Tottenham, this is your chance to have your say and to ask your questions, just to have a conversation with us about any topic of your choice. And let's start off with Alex Samuels. The last time I saw him was just before the Euros final. He's got a smile back on his face today, though. Alex, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. I think you guys summed up the current situation really, really well. It's exciting to a degree. I think we need to see what really happens for the rest of the window. You know, because at the moment is just. I know you have your reliable sources, but it is obviously just rumours at the moment. Obviously very reliable, but we need to actually see it put into practice. Galini was a great start. A position which I found really surprising that Tottenham addressed this summer, because it seemed like something they were really putting off for quite a few years now, actually, the future of the goalkeeping spot. So I was really happy that they were sorting it out. But yeah, I'm getting excited, I think, is the summary.
Yeah, and as well, it's not just, you know, the way Paratici negotiates, which I think is much more beneficial to the way we used to do things, because we used to Daniel Levy used to very much always focus on one player. How many times did you used to hear like, we're going to go for this player after we've tied up this deal for this other player, then we're going to go for that player, as if like we have to do things one at a time all the time. We can't be like negotiating for multiple deals, and that's what I think Paratici is very good at. Multiple players in each position. And then really target who you want. Go down the list of what player you really want and try your best to go for that player. But I think making these ruthless decisions, like getting Toby Alderweireld out the door, like getting Lamela out the door, who's been in the club for a very, very long time, it's very, very promising going to the new season.
Yeah, I think you know, on your first point, it seems like there's sort of a new fresh air at Tottenham, isn't there? And how, you know, well, players who, you know, remember Vincent Janssen, for example, you know, it didn't work out for him, and I think there were some clubs interested, but they weren't offering the fee that we wanted, and it dragged on for a while, and eventually we got a small fee, but it didn't really, you know, we kept him for ages, and it just wasn't working out whatsoever. So now that we're actually moving players on, as you say, ruthlessly, and actually using them smartly in a swap deals, for example, it's yet to see what's going to happen with Davinson Sanchez, who's probably the most transferable player. You could say that the highest value player we're going to sell this summer, barring Harry Kane, of course. That's fingers crossed on that. But yeah, it definitely feels like a new approach for Tottenham. Brought in by Paratici, which seems like it's going to be a masterstroke. And also, as you say on Daniel Levy, he has given up, it seems, control a bit of the club, of the footballing side of the club at least, which I find very interesting, because we haven't seen that for quite a while now. And even with the even with the other sporting directors brought in, it wasn't really the case, and there was always some sort of power struggle, whether it was between Pochettino and the sporting directors at the time. There was always some sort of that. It doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. And all that needs to happen is Daniel Levy needs to give the green light on the finance side, and that's about it. So, you know, and we have money to spend. You know, there were all reports coming out before saying that, you know, we got to sell to buy. It doesn't seem like that's the case, which I find a bit surprising, because maybe that was just the low expectations the club were putting that out, but. Yeah, I'm very excited. You know, Christian Romero would be a phenomenal signing for the club. I can't understate that. He'd be absolutely phenomenal. And then, you know, just getting Jules Koundé as well alongside him would be the cherry on top, wouldn't it?
They're saying with the deal for Varane going to Man United, that could work against Spurs at the moment, because it looks like they could look at Koundé to replace him. That's what a few reports are saying today.
Didn't Romano say last week, though, Real Madrid won't even look at Koundé, even if Varane leaves?
That's what I heard.
Well, as I guess, L'Equipe is saying they are looking at him. So, and obviously Romano's a lot more reliable than L'Equipe. That's historically, but I'm sure they'll still look at someone, won't they? And considering Koundé is very young, 21 years of age, maybe they would look at him as someone.
Well, maybe they'll look at Davinson Sanchez. You never
Yeah,
know.
right. Yeah, I think we can only pray.
But Alex, you're talking about our finances and how we thought we'd have not that much money to spend. Do you feel that this summer has a bit of an air of the summer that we sold Gareth Bale in, where we got a lot of signings in and then let a big player go at the end of the window? So it could work in this case, a la Harry Kane, very similar to the way Gareth Bale left. How are you feeling about that?
It's always going to be in the back of your mind this summer, isn't it, really? What's really happening with that? I think the problem we've got is a lot of people have said that Harry Kane won't down tools and everything. I don't know, actually, if that's the case, because he no matter what anyone says, he is a very ambitious player who feels that he is actually, to a degree, owed this move because of promises made to him by the hierarchy in the past. And so if he feels like he has been lied to, which he wouldn't be the first person at Tottenham to feel like he hasn't got the deal that Daniel Levy promised, then I don't know how it's going to be, and it puts us in a very difficult position, doesn't it? If he, and what if it could be a big distraction from the season? There will be constant speculation. Oh, Harry Kane, just look at that first game back against Man City, which he's supposedly going to miss due to Euro fatigue. You can see the Sky Sports articles now, can't you? What it's going to be like. Harry Kane dodges meetup of you can see it, how it's going to be written. So I do worry that the temptation, even by the Tottenham board, to sell for 150 million, finances sorted. Financial troubles done. It's a very tempting bid, but I think what is going to stop it in the end is actually the fan base, and the pressure that the fan base has put on ENIC for the past year, even the Super League, everything like that. I think if they weren't under the pressure they're under right now, I think it could actually be more of a possibility. So I think it's really just down to all of us for really making our mark on the club and telling them, this is not something you should be doing. We cannot be. The club that sold Gareth Bale to Real Madrid, it's a very different club right now. We've changed a lot through Pochettino and everything. We should no longer be that selling club which is happy to sell Berbatov, or you can name quite a few. So I do have some worries that the more that we spend this summer, the more positions that we fill, it kind of actually raises the likelihood that it's happening. But I do feel like there must be finances coming in from somewhere, whether that's a new stadium deal. It just seems like something behind the scenes has shifted. Not any money put in by Joe Lewis, because we all know that's not going to happen. But yeah, I would love to see the accounts of Tottenham right now, just to see what's really happening, what moves are being made, and it's by the end of the summer, I'd expected that maybe we'd have spent a bit, but where's that money come from? That's always going to be the question.
Well, apparently there's the sponsorship for the training kits. That's a new thing. Apparently there's rumours that we've tied up a deal for the stadium naming rights, which is yet to be announced. But there's rumours that that's tied up as well. Yeah. And obviously, I think we're getting players out the door. We've already sold Toby Alderweireld, fans back in stadiums. So I think there is a bit of money there to spend. I want to ask your opinion on this, Alex. Toby Alderweireld obviously being pictured in Qatar over the weekend. That deal looks to be pretty much done. You could argue he was our best centre-back last season. So do you think it's a smart thing for him to be maybe either the first out the door, or even to be selling him at all? Or would you have liked him to stick around for a bit longer?
Look, I love Alderweireld. I think he was one of the best centre-backs I've ever seen at Tottenham, in my opinion. Absolute Rolls Royce of a defender. But it was time to go. It was absolutely time to go, and for a fee which I think the
We made
hierarchy would
profit
have
on
said,
him, Alex. We made profit on him.
yeah, exactly. For a fee which the hierarchy would have gone, yes, please, absolutely. And there were rumours he wanted to go back to his homeland and everything, but yeah, the finances there I think would have made that a bit tricky. His wages and everything, and so moving to I think it's Qatar, he's going to, he gets a lovely payday. We get a lovely payday to go towards some new signings. I think it works out, and his performances. Yes, he was very good for us last season to a degree, but ever since that injury he had a few years ago, he hasn't really been the same. And at 32 years of age, I think he is, it was only gonna really get worse. So it was time to move on. As we've all been saying, we need to freshen up the squad. Lamela, Alderweireld, these guys should just be the start. I want to see Sissoko getting out the door. I don't like why is he still here? I don't even know why we really offered him a new contract to begin with a few years ago. To be honest, I know he was doing well at the time, but come on, like be showing more ambition than that. Even Harry Winks, it's time to go in my opinion. I've loved Harry Winks. Some of his performances have been really good, but you've got Oliver Skip now coming through, who's going to be taking his position, and Oliver Skip should be getting the chance to do that, and Harry Winks is just going to fall further behind. So I don't really see why we should really be keeping him. If we get, I think 20 million probably be a fair price for him. Sell him to Everton or Villa. I think those are the clubs interested.
Yeah.
So it's the squad refresh is so important. So I don't know. It was time for Alderweireld to go, despite him being arguably our best defender. We're getting in Romero, who's going to be our new best defender. We do need one more. I think I'm quite certain on that. I don't know who it will be. Tomiyasu's probably, despite the injury, probably going to be the most likely, because at the end of the day, as you said about Koundé, I'm not sure if I haven't really heard about the Madrid interest since Fabrizio shut that down last week, but if it's true or someone else goes in for him, then we know we're not his first choice. And also, if we're not his first choice, do we even want a player like that to really come to the club? Who Koundé seems like maybe a bit of a he doesn't really seem too interested in the Tottenham project. I don't know if that's really something we should be considering, or if there's other options out there. Look, for example, Demiral. Apparently, Atalanta are interested in him, and they're going to make a move for him. So for 35 million euros, I think that was, we should be absolutely all over that. I don't know why. I'm sure Don Paratici's already, he's made the phone calls and everything, to be honest. But
he's definitely made some inquiries.
But Alex, on just back on Toby Alderweireld for a second. I mean, what do you think it says about him? Because obviously he was our best defender in the Premier League last season. Him going to Qatar this year, I mean, I would have thought that he could have gone to a top league in Europe still and still perform well. So what do you think it actually says about him? Because it's very different when we sold Moussa Dembele to China, because Dembele's legs had pretty much gone. Yeah. But I still think Toby's got at least 1 or 2 years at the top level left. So what do you think that actually says about him going to Qatar?
Well, it's interesting because if you remember a couple of years ago, wasn't it, he was available for 25 million, I think, with the release clause in his contract. And I think Roma, from memory, offered a lower fee for him. Yeah. But no one actually exercised that option, and we were all terrified that summer that someone was going to come in for him, and it just never happened. So it's interesting how maybe other clubs view him. Maybe they see him as more, I suppose, finished is the word I'd maybe use. Maybe it's not too polite, but and in terms of Alderweireld himself, I think he knows his body best. And maybe he feels like, when Vertonghen, there was that game, I can't remember who it was against. He came off, I think it was like 60th minute or something.
Yeah, when he walked around the pitch crying.
Yeah, he looked done, didn't he? He looked like that was really it for him. And I think there were maybe, Alderweireld, despite being our best defender, arguably this year, he made quite a few mistakes, like all our defenders did. That was not just him. And there were times where you could see, it's a sort of not as bad as that Vertonghen moment, but you could see it was along the lines of that. So he knows his body best. He never really recovered fully from that injury. So, and to be honest, money does talk at the end of the day. It's easy for us discussing, transfers and fees and everything to go 30 million, to this club, whatever. But actually, for him to receiving, I'm sure they'll probably be matching or increasing his salary that he's got at Tottenham. It's a big deal for him and his family.
Apparently, he's going to be on 200 grand a week tax free.
Exactly. Then that could be, I think, 4 times more even than what he's earning at Tottenham after tax, for example.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible fee for him and his family. He definitely seems like someone who's family orientated, considering he wanted to go back to Belgium to see out the rest of his career, which obviously didn't happen. But I wish him well. I'm sure he'll earn a great living there in Qatar, as you said about the money, and yes, maybe he would have had a couple of years more at the top level, but as I said, money talks, and I just wish him the best, because he's been such a good player for Tottenham over the years, a great servant. He did want to leave the club at one point, but then he did commit a couple of more years to us, which we can only really thank him for, to be honest, because I think during those years we really needed him, because we weren't in the position to bring a top centre back in.
Just before we let you go, Alex, I want to know what your favourite Eric Lamela moment over the years was.
I have to say, this is a special mention. Every yellow card towards everyone's bets. That's everyone's
bet builders. Yeah,
everyone's bet builders for yellow cards. That's a special mention. A bit cheating there, but yeah. Can I do a top 3 maybe?
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
Okay, so in third place, I'm going to go with the anti-Martial. I think it was Martial in the 6-1 United. Yeah, I think that was absolutely terrible from a footballing standpoint, but for Lamela, it was brilliant. I think maybe second. It's probably the 2 Rabonas. I'll put the Arsenal one probably second, because we obviously lost the game, which does mar it a bit. Yeah, that one was brilliant. I think one of the best goals I've ever seen in the Premier League, to be honest. It was absolutely incredible. And obviously then, first place, you've got the Rabona in the, I think it was Europa League, wasn't it?
Yeah, against Asterios Tripoli, I think it was, yeah.
Exactly, which was just absolutely incredible. And there's so many. He's been a great servant for Tottenham. That's the truth. He's not going to be remembered as an all-time legend or anything, but he's been, when you give this many years to a club, it's quite rare nowadays, isn't it? So
yeah,
he absolutely loves the club. He needed to be convinced, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And look, so there's so many. Also, everything against Jack Wilshere. Every time he's ever played against Arsenal, all those
Battle
moments.
Of the bridge.
Really, yeah, exactly. He's been in so many moments. His contributions to us reaching the Champions League final as well. He played a big part in that. I think he played in a lot of games during that because of the injuries we had. So, all we need to say is really thank you to Eric Lamela. He's been such a good servant and ambassador for the club. Really showing what Tottenham can be all about. He loves it. I remember him watching a pre-season friendly at the birth of his child or something. Yeah. This is what I mean. Turn into a top 3 and you can talk about him all day. So that says a lot about him, doesn't it?
It does. But Alex, absolute pleasure having you on as always. I'm excited for the season to get kicked off now, and Don Paratici is definitely at the wheel. But Alex, thanks for coming on, man.
No, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Speak to you soon.
Cheers, Alex. Nice one. A bit of breaking news. Can we get the phone up, Vinny? According to Sky Sports, Eric Lamela has now completed.
We got a celebration!
He's now completed a medical in Spain after Tottenham and Sevilla have fully agreed the stop deal involving.
So you're telling me Eric Lamela passed a medical?
Yeah, I'm surely not. They must have glossed over that.
There's something wrong over here. Eric Lamela not passing no medical.
It says but the 20-year-old Bryan is currently obviously part of the Spain's Tokyo team in the Olympics, and he'll complete his move to Spurs after their participation in the competition. So Lamela seems to have completed his move to Sevilla after completing medical. But I think the Bryan Gil's participation is probably holding out just to maybe, I don't know if it'll be announced today. Maybe the deal will be announced, but not the transfer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. You won't see. I don't think you'll see Hill holding up a Spurs shirt till after the Olympics.
No, you won't. But they can still announce it without all the social media stuff just yet. So
as the great Bob Spurs says, till he's holding the shirt, people. Till he's holding the shirt.
And then also, over the weekend, these pictures were leaked of in the Sevilla stadium. And you can see that Eric Lamela's picture on the big screen. So they can clearly see Sevilla getting ready to announce Eric Lamela. But that's breaking news from Sky Sports. He has now completed a medical in Sevilla. So this one is very, very close to getting done. And it's an exciting deal for us, getting a new, fresh winger into the side who's able to take on players and who's got a skill set in which I don't think we really have in the squad. So
to be fair, though, we did say
excited.
Very similar things about Lamela when he was coming through the door.
We did. We did very much so, and that didn't quite pan out. But I'm hoping Bryan Hill can alleviate those worries that we've had over Eric Lamela, and that's what I'm hoping for. And you know what? I did watch him over the weekend for Spain. He came on with half an hour to go, and he was he looked like a really creative spark and someone who loves to take on players, who likes to be creative in the way he deals with the ball. He likes to be unpredictable. Sometimes he takes someone on, or sometimes he likes to play little cute passes in between the lines. He likes to come in centrally, and he did all that in only 20 minutes on the pitch, or 25 minutes on the pitch. So it was encouraging from what I saw, but we'll have to wait and see, obviously, how he adapts to the Premier League.
Yeah, look, he was playing against Australian Olympic side, so it's not exactly the toughest test he's ever gonna face.
The Spanish Olympic side is very close there. It's seen like Ozurvabal's there, Olma's there, Asensio was there, Pedri is there. So it was very strong.
I know these players have literally played non-stop throughout the whole summer.
Yeah, extremely strong. Very, very surprising how strong.
But look, I think his biggest test will come in the Premier League, and we're under no kind of illusions that he's not going to take. He's going to have to take time to settle into the Premier League. That's a fact. You know what I mean? So he might have to get his minutes early on, maybe in the Conference League or in the Carabao Cup or something. But I do. I'm quite positive about this signing, and I think every single thing that I've looked into about him just makes me excited. It's just an exciting signing, you know what I mean? That we haven't had that in a while. An exciting signing, exciting attacking signing like that, have we?
No, definitely not. And although he spent last season on loan at Eibar, who finished, I think, bottom of La Liga at the end of the day. But he shone in a struggling Eibar side.
He got a call up to Spain off the back of it halfway through the season.
He did. I think he's had like 3 caps now. So a lot of people see him as a star of the future. From what I've seen from a few like Sevilla blogs and stuff, they seem quite unhappy that he's leaving, and they looked like they were excited for him to be part of the team next season. So it seems like we got a player that the parent club we got a good deal. It seems like I think they needed the money, and the fact they've got a replacement ready in Lamela, maybe they're just happy with that. So I think for Spurs it's a good deal, for Sevilla it's a good deal. So I think it's a win-win for everyone.
All right, and let's see what Matt Hayes has to think. Big up Matt Hayes. Let's bring him on. First of all, congratulations on 10K, my friend.
Congratulations, Matt.
Congratulations on 10K.
And can you hear him?
I can't. Are you on mute, Matt? Is he on mute on our end?
There you go. Yeah, I can hear
now
him.
we can hear you. Yeah.
So
congratulations on 10K, Matt. Next stop, 20K.
Exactly. We'll be there as soon as possible. Thanks a million.
No problem. No problem. So, what do you want to talk about today?
Don Fabio. Who else is there to talk
man?
about at Spurs right now?
It's
this
true.
man is the savior of our football club. Some of these deals that he's getting done is absolutely crazy. And Christian Romero, I think, he's one of those players that I'd say put Bryan Gill in the same category, that perhaps a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, we wouldn't quite have known who they were. But now that we do know, that we've looked into them, they're incredible signings, like absolutely sensational signings. And one of the most impressive things for me about Christian Romero in particular is it doesn't happen very often, but he's almost a versatile centre-back. Because you have, like, say, with Tommy Yazoo, he can play centre-back or right-back, maybe even a bit of left-back. Whereas Christian Romero in the last season has worked really effectively within a back 4 and within a back 5. So with Atalanta at club level, playing in that back 3/5, whatever it was, had, I think, the best 5th best defensive record in La Liga, and one of their best in quite a while, managing to get back into the Champions League. And then he went to the Copa America with Argentina, played in a back 4, conceded 3 goals in 7 games and lifted a trophy. And that's something I think that is going a bit under the radar with Christian Romero. But oh, Don Fabio is just the greatest man that's ever come anywhere near this football club.
Yeah, and he's a man that we were all so desperate for. I think we all knew at the end of last season that we needed someone to take the bull by the horns from a footballing side. I think Levy, for the past couple of years, has really struggled to get this club in any sort of direction from a footballing standpoint. That was all even more evidence just before Paratici came in with the whole managerial search. That lack of direction was exposed for all to see. So I think that's the most important thing, isn't it? We've got someone through the door who knows what he wants from a footballing standpoint and knows a direction for us to go in, and we actually see some light at the end of the tunnel now.
We absolutely do, and it's good to see. But I said this about the transfer window when we bought in Ndombele and Celso. Fair play to Levy in that he's managed to get something done that will progress this football club, but it's come a bit too late. Because say for example we signed Ndombele and Celso in the summer of 2019, brilliant signings, but it came 18 months too late because we went 18 months without signing a player, and that entire squad, which could really have brought us to the pinnacle of English and maybe even European football, that squad went completely stale. And all of a sudden you're adding things into that, but you're adding players into a squad that is depleted, a dressing room that is becoming fractured. And that's, if they're going into that environment, well, that's the environment they're going to carry through their time with the club as well. And now with bringing in Fabio Paratici, if we brought him in, I know we couldn't have specifically brought him in because he was doing so well at Juventus, but if we brought in someone who perhaps wasn't Steve Hitchen and actually knew what they were doing in that role 3, 4, 5 years ago, that period of time with Pochettino could have been one of the most successful eras of this football club ever. Like, just imagine for a second Fabio Paratici and Mauricio Pochettino at the same football club. The limits are endless. The sky is the limit, if that makes sense. It's frustrating that it came so late, but it has happened. It has come, and it looks as though they are going to put their money into the pocket. And as much as there will be, I think, a bit of extra money pumped into the squad, there'll also be some sales on the way out that are going to generate a lot of money for Spurs. And this Toby Alderweireld deal, I think, is absolutely sensational. I really do. Like you say, making a profit on him after, what is it, 6 years of him being one of the best centre-backs in English football. It's an incredible deal. And I do question his motivation to actually leave Spurs. And I thought it was he wanted to actually go on and win something before his career ended. Like you were saying, he probably could have gone to a top team within Europe, maybe won something in the top 5 leagues. But going to Qatar and going to Al Duhail, Al Duhail are very much the second best team in Qatar, and Al Sadd are the best out there. They're managed by Xavi, and the gap is actually so big between them. I remember towards the end of last season, Al Sadd played Al Duhail. I think it was in a cup game or something like that, and Al Sadd played a second string team, mostly their reserves, and they still drew the game 1-1. So there isn't really much potential for him to actually go out and win something there, which is concerning. But like you mentioned, 200 grand a week, almost tax free. I think that's why he's left Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, back on your point before about Paratici and, it's been a little too late. Do you think that in terms of Daniel Levy, forgiveness is still not an option? Are you still Levy out? And is it still little too late in terms of Daniel Levy and rectifying the mess that he made?
At the moment, I'm still Levy out because there's nothing to suggest and nothing to make me confident that the same mistakes won't be made under Fabio Paratici. Because if he gets all the backing he wants this window, he gets in Romero, he gets Gill, he gets Galini, he gets, for argument's sake, Koundé, Damsgaard, and Danny Ings as well. That's an incredible window. And we're going to go into the season really optimistic and really positive that we have a squad that can compete. We were in that same situation last year. Mm-hmm. Let's say we get into maybe finish 5th or 6th next season, get Europa League football. Then next summer, Daniel Levy's like, well, it didn't quite work out the first season with Paratici, so I'm not going to give him the same money. And then we're back in square one again, where it's going to be the same mistakes, it's going to be the same vicious cycle. So until Daniel Levy proves that he's learned from those mistakes, if we go on and become a successful club, well, of course I'll be a fan of Levy, because if he's the man who's going to bring us that success, well, I think we'd be a bit maybe too selfish and greedy to not show him that support. But until that happens, there's no way we can sit here and say that he is the right man to bring this club forward.
Go on, carry on.
I was going to say, we have always said for 5, 10, 15 years, however long it is, that Daniel Levy is not the man to be in control of the footballing side of this club. Business-wise, I don't think anyone can deny he's an absolute genius. He has made this club, whether we at the top 10 richest clubs in the world, he's brought the state training facilities. And I know people don't like talking about that, but that is in itself an incredible accomplishment. But it's not an accomplishment if it costs us on the footballing side of things, because we are a business, but first and foremost, we're a football club. And the best way for a business as a football club to be successful and to progress is to win things on the pitch. So yes, it's great that he spent £1 billion in a stadium, but I'd rather he had spent 200-300 million on the squad. We stayed at the old White Hart Lane for a few years and won stuff, and then moved on to the new stadium and things like that. So the fact that it's taken Levy this long to see what the fans have known for quite a while, that he isn't right for the footballing decisions, that is, again, another big concern that's there. But he has made that decision now to relieve himself of those pressures, and hopefully hopefully there will be something beneficial coming out of it.
Yeah, and he'll be concentrating on acquiring more golf courses and what have you, and all that kind of madness. But
even
look,
that failed. Gareth Bale's not coming back.
Yeah, Gareth Bale. Yeah, exactly. Quickly ship off all the golf courses. But is there any way that we could ever forgive and forget him for the Super League or anything like that? They tried to take football away from us, and is there not an argument to say that once this is all forgotten about, once our backs are turned once again, that they can try and do it again? Can you ever trust him fully?
Not fully. Not fully. I think the situation with the Super League and Daniel Levy is very different to the other 11 directors of football or chairman, whatever you want to say in that, because the other 11 knew what they were doing and they knew who they were taking football away from. But if you're to believe Paul Barber, the chief executive of Brighton, he said Daniel Levy thought this is what the fans wanted. And with those first 11, you can have the concern that they knew what they were doing. But with Daniel Levy, you have the concern that he's that much of an idiot that he thought we wanted football to be taken away from Tottenham, from N17, from North London, and to make Tottenham a global franchise. I would be confident in saying 99.5% of Spurs fans don't want that to happen. But Daniel Levy is just so disengaged and so detached from the fan base that is keeping his business functioning that he did not know how opposed we would be to that. And look, we're technically not out of the Super League right now. You need, is it all 12 teams to pull out or to pay something like a £300 million exit clause? We're technically still in there, and they're going to try it again. It's going to happen again. I think it is an inevitability that eventually, some point down the line, there will be some form of the European Super League, and it may just be some sort of compromise between UEFA, the Super League, and domestic FAs, whatever it is, that it essentially just replaces the Champions League with whatever 12, 16, 20 teams in it. But I think it's going to happen eventually, and the people who do make that happen can't be forgiven, whether it is through their own selfishness or their own incompetence.
All right, Matt, absolute brilliant call. Just before you go, give us your favourite Eric Lamela moment throughout the years.
It's like Alex said, it's just really tough. It is really tough. I have to give a special mention to everything that ever happened with Jack Wilshere. I think that in itself makes him puts him right below the status of club legend there. But I'd say that first Rabona has to be it, because what is it, 20 yards out, no one's expecting it, puts it in the top bins. Just goes to show, it shows two things about him. One, the technical skill that he perhaps didn't show enough throughout his time at Spurs, and secondly, the fact that he just doesn't have a right foot, and that's what we remember him for.
I think the latter mainly. But Matt, absolute pleasure as always, man, and we'll see you soon.
Nice one,
Thanks
Matt.
for having me, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
See you in a bit.
Bye. Yeah, I mean, what would you say your favourite Eric Lamela moment was?
My favourite Eric Lamela moment, maybe stamping on Fabregas at
Yeah,
the
that's
bridge.
exactly what I was thinking, to be honest. I mean, that battle of the bridge, you really saw. I mean, he was one of the main
instigators of that. Yeah,
instigators
for sure.
of that. And like every time we would play a rival, whether it be Arsenal or Chelsea, he was always the one that was just ready for war. Mm-hmm. Go out there looking for it, ready for war every time, and he would always ruffle up a few feathers.
Yeah,
if not
100%.
more than a few feathers.
Also, think that third goal against Man United when we beat
Lamela!
Yeah, we beat United 3-0. That was a great
Tottenham in
moment
full
as well.
cry here.
Exactly. So there's been a few, but unfortunately most of them are non-football, just because he didn't have. I don't know. Even though he came to Spurs with this whole reputation of being a silky winger who can beat players and cut inside and smash into the far corner, that
He
kind of
showed it
player.
once against Newcastle, was it? When he cut inside and
I think it was against Burnley.
Was it against Burnley?
Yeah. He rarely did it actually
Yeah.
for Spurs, unfortunately. In that kind of
And we
sense.
saw that in his highlights reel for Roma, how he did it time and time
Yeah,
again.
but for Spurs, he never did it. He just kind of changed his way he was playing. He turned into a kind of an aggressive winger as opposed to the silky winger that we thought we were going to get. So just he changed a lot.
Yeah. All right, let's get Brad Hotspur on. Yes, Brad. How's it going, mate?
Brad.
How you doing? Good.
All good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm trying to watch this and work at the same time. It's all right.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's your opinions on everything going on at Spurs at the moment? Are you excited for the new season?
I am actually. It's weird. It's like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, it was sort of like despair, and now it's like, wow, we're actually look like signing some decent players that we need. It looks like we're selling some players that have gone well past their sell-by date. And it looks like we might even be paying the money. Although I think it's one of the might have been Spurs Express tweeted this morning that Atalanta have turned down our 50 million bid for Romario. So that's, I think, 5 million short from what they wanted. So that's a bit worrying that that's still happening. But you read that quote out this morning. I read the same article, and that was like everyone music to my ears. You've got to pay the price, which we've been saying for years. So as long as Daniel Levy keeps out of the finance side, and we don't know what's happened. We don't know, has he given him a budget and say, there's your money, spend it how you want? We don't know, but it's looking promising, definitely.
Yeah, and obviously one deal that looks to have gone through over the weekend is that Toby Alderweireld deal going to Qatar. A lot of people saying last season he was our best centre-back, and do you think it's obviously we have made a profit on him if the reports would be right. Do you think it's a good deal for the club, or would you have liked him to have stayed a bit longer?
I think it's a good deal. I love Toby as everyone else does. He was one of the best defenders I've seen at the club. But I think as soon as he said he wanted to leave, well, that's when you've bye-bye sort of thing. A bit confused the fact that he's gone to Qatar, but then if he wants to go back to Belgium, they're not going to be able to pay him the wages that he's used to. So by playing for say 3 years or 2 years even in Qatar, he's going to sort of get. Although I'm going to say secure his family, but to be honest, you should be able to secure your family on 50 grand a week, let alone 200 grand a week. But yeah, I think that's what he's doing, and also don't forget the World Cup is in Qatar next season, and he's probably going to be in the Belgium squad. So he's going to get himself acclimatised. So that's another possibility. But
good point.
Yeah, no, as soon as and also we actually made a profit on him. So as soon as he said he wanted to go, I thought, well, you know what, we've got to replace him anyway. He's a good player and probably our best defender last season, but he's still 32. It's getting to that stage where we need to replace him, and now that's sort of more or less forced our hands. So I'm quite happy with that, definitely.
And what's your early opinions on Nuno since he's come to the club? I think it's been about a month now since he's been appointed.
Yeah, about 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. So obviously he's had a few things to say. A few at his press conferences. We've had a couple of friendlies. What's his early impressions he's made on you?
I sort of get a sort of a posh vibe about him, actually, or posh vibe about him.
I get the exact same thing, Brad. I swear to you.
It's really weird. Now the one thing when they showed the first few training clips, one thing I noticed was they was showing a lot of sort of competitive sort of strength training.
Yeah.
So I think they had Ali and Dyer sort of up against each other, trying to jostle each other and then be the first one to the ball. And I thought that was, that sort of impressed me. And also the fitness thing. We obviously weren't fit, last season under Mourinho. I mean, people say, professionals, they should be fit. But, professional footballers sometimes aren't the brightest people in the world, and I like that. And I think the friendlies at the moment are all about fitness. I think it will start taking it a bit seriously when we get the Mind Cup or whatever it's called. But no, I'm happy that he seems to be quite adaptable from what I've read about him. There's a clip of him planning defeating Real Madrid when he's with I think it was where it is with now Sevilla maybe. And he showed how he defeated. Valencia. Show how he defeated them. He had the old sort of board sort of round things on it, and that was quite impressive. He got the three centre backs to mark. I think it was Bale, Benzema, and Rodriguez, and then that allowed his full backs to push forward, which allowed you space up front because he sort of had all the midfield in. And that created, because that drew their players in, and that created, and it's very impressive. This YouTube video that I saw, I thought, okay, so he seems to be quite adaptable. So all this talk about, he's Dower and there's another Mourinho, I don't go with that. And at the same time, if he does improve our defence and our sort of, to keep in matches and that sort of thing, that's great. Because I think last season we just we lost possession too many times when we were holding on to leads. And we just didn't have the fitness. We just seemed to sort of burn out as the game went on, and it's inevitable that we're going to concede equalisers. You were waiting for it. So so far so good. I'm not expecting too much this season because we could buy the players in the world, but they're still going to take time to sort of, to bed in. I don't think the players we're buying a Premiership have ever played in the Premiership before, so that's a different. People seem to forget how hard the Premiership is, so they're going to have to adapt that way, and also whatever tactics Nuno sort of employs. So it's going to be a learning curve, but I think we'll lose ground in the early days because I think the players that we get in. I mean, we might not get in the players until the last day of the window where the season's already started. So, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal in the first 6 games, we could be losing ground already. But then I think as the season goes on, we'll get better and better, and probably finish stronger. Probably 5th or 6th or 6th maybe. That's what I'm hoping for. But I want to be in a position where at the end of the season, I'm looking forward to next season to actually do something and get that top 4 spot back and, go for the title, those sort of things. We could have a cup run because cups at the end of the day is all about the luck of the draw. You have a good game, you have a bad game. So, that's always a possibility. And also the FA Cup and the knockout stages of the Conference Cup will come next year. So by that time, the team have had a little bit of time to get to know each other and sort of gel. So that, you never know. That could be good. I think, didn't we get to the League Cup final in Pochettino's first season?
We did.
Yeah. So I'm sort of, quietly confident on that front, definitely.
When you've seen the friendlies so far, which kind of youngsters are you looking at to be competing in the first team this season?
I didn't see the Orient game because my stream, I couldn't get the stream. I actually saw the second half, but then they brought on the under-23s for the last half an hour, so that didn't tell me much. But I watched the whole Colchester game. I mean, I'm not the only person. Everyone said this. Oliver Skipp in that first half was just brilliant. I mean, he probably did more in that half of football than Winks did the whole of last season. And
literally,
he just looked. I think with young players, sometimes they look like they're young players making their debut, but sometimes they look like they've been doing it for years. And he looked like he'd been a Premiership regular for years. He really did look good. They've got to be careful how they use him, how they play him. I think Nuno said something about his injury because he don't just come back from a metatarsal, which is an injury that he sort of discovered in the last sort of 10 to 15 years. But yeah, so they've got to be careful with him there. But I think if you can get him and Højbjerg sort of anchoring that midfield with a decent back four behind them, then you've got Ndombele, Celso, Dele Alli, these sort of players have got license to go forward and hopefully create havoc. So yeah, Skipp. I mean, like Dane Scarlett, I thought he was pretty good. Again, he's a player for the Conference League. John, was it John?
Oh, John,
right. Yeah, he looked all right. The right back, Pass. Our Estonian international.
Yeah, Pascozzi, 18-year-old Estonian international.
He looked good, and I've always liked Harvey White as well. I've always thought he's shown potential. But yeah, let's not get carried away. They're all showing potential. But I think out of all of those, I think the player you'll see making games will be Skipp. Oh, the other thing I thought that Alfie Whiteman actually looked okay in goal. Not for maybe second string, but certainly as a first string keeper, and sort of show Joe Hart the door. So yeah, I think that looks promising as well. So yeah, I think Skipp's the one for me, and if he can get that midfield partnership, well then we look pretty good.
Is he already above Harry Winks in the pecking order for you, Ollie Skipp?
I think so. Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. Harry Winks a few seasons ago was excellent, and I thought this guy is going to be, he's going to be the future Tottenham captain. Blah blah blah. I thought he had a fairly decent Champions League final, whereas most of them didn't. I thought he played well I think it was Barcelona. He played well in one of the early rounds, and he looked like he had the goods. And then he suddenly lost it. And once that happens, it's like sort of you've got to let him go, and that's what I think is happening at the moment. It's the rebuild that Pochettino was talking about, the painful rebuild, and it's like, well, we can all be sentimental about these players, but at the end of the day, we didn't win anything with these players. So you've got to get them out and get some fresh faces in and go from there. I mean, obviously there are some players that you can't throw away, like Kane and Son and these sort of players, but yeah, no, I think that's what you need to do. And yeah, Winks. Sorry, if we get a bid for him, 20 million, we'll leave him on 25. You know what he's like. But yeah, we get the money in 20 million, or even 15 million. Take it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Last question from me, Brad. Harry Kane, what's your gut telling you? Staying or going?
All of the things are pointing in the direction of him staying. He signed that massive contract, so it's not really his decision, it's our decision. The only thing that worries me is a certain Daniel Levy on transfer window day. Man City come in with a massive offer that maybe 150 or 120, and he thinks, oh, well, I'll take the money. That's my only worry. All the things point to Harry Kane staying. I don't think he's the sort of player that's going to sort of down tools and that. Let's face it, he's the England captain, so he's like, he can't really sort of drop his, throw his toys out the pram and say, I'm not playing anymore, sort of thing.
Sometimes it's a subconscious thing, though, Brad. Maybe sometimes it happens without actually planning to do it because your heart's not set on it. You know what I mean?
It did. I think the two examples, showing both of the answers to that was obviously Ericsson, I think, did that subconsciously. But I do remember, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Luka Modric, when he wanted, he actually said, "Oh, I had a verbal agreement that I was going to leave," and they made him stay. And I think he missed the first game of the season because he wasn't in the right place. But from memory, I think he had a terrific season that season.
He did.
Yeah. So it works both ways. Kane, I don't know. Subconsciously, I think it depends how the team do and how much sort of future he sees. Because last season you could tell, well, like us, he was getting really peeved with what was going on, So I think if it looks promising and we start to play some decent football and start to win games, albeit a little bit later in the season, then maybe he'll be back to old Kane. And he's got a few records. Don't forget, if he stays at Tottenham, he's got a few records to try and beat. So that should to coin a phrase, spur him on. So yeah.
All right, Brad, absolutely great call. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Brilliant, no problem.
Good to speak to you, mate.
You can get back to work.
Have a great day, guys. See you later. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye. All right. What's this news you're looking at?
Barcelona have confirmed that Griezmann is for sale this window, according to the president, Juan Laporte, saying that they're open to all proposals and situations. And there were a few reports over the weekend saying Tottenham, one of the clubs interested in Antoine Griezmann. And if it just goes, I guess the question is, if Harry Kane was to leave and we were to get a decent deal, say pay 40 million or something, or 45 million for a player like Griezmann, would that be an acceptable replacement?
Griezmann?
Yeah.
You've got to say it has to be, surely. But I don't think he's been as good as he was at Atletico since he's joined Barcelona. So there is a question mark.
Yeah, there is a question mark. But maybe him, if he was to be the main man at a club again, maybe if he was of course it's a risk, but would that be someone who you'd think you'd have to go for if it was an option? Or do you think maybe he's a bit too expensive? He's about 29 now?
Yeah, he's only a year older than Kane, isn't he?
Or is he 30 yet, Griezmann?
Look, I think he's
30.
He's 30, but he's a top quality player. I think if you can get him for a good price, I would bring him through the door, but it is a risk.
And you saw the impact Suarez had this season, having left Barcelona, went to Atletico, even at 33 or 34 now, and he was still, I think, one of the top goal scorers in La Liga, and had a brilliant season, and he obviously drove him to a trophy. So just because Barcelona aren't interested in him anymore, doesn't necessarily mean he's finished by any accounts, or that he's not a good player or anything like that.
Didn't they sign him 2 years ago or something for 140 million or something crazy?
Around that, yeah, 120 million.
Nuts money. And he hasn't really hit those heights at Barcelona, but he's still getting called up to the French team. He still gets minutes for the French team. So obviously he's held in high regard there, but so is Moussa Sissoko, so I wouldn't read too much.
Yeah, but I was just wondering if would you rather spend that money, a decent amount of money, on someone like Griezmann, or go for someone who's maybe younger, a bit more potential, but who could maybe take like a year to really grow?
If we're going to spend 40 million, I think I would prefer to go for someone younger. If we can get a really good deal for a Griezmann, like something below 30 million, then I would go for him, I think.
Because he's also got to take into account big wages as well. Because he's obviously more massive wages at Barcelona. Maybe they could be supplemented if he was to sign for Tottenham.
I think a loan deal would suit most parties.
I would definitely take a loan deal, that's for sure.
That's
with an option to buy or something.
try before you buy.
That's how Levy likes it. All right, let's get our next caller on. Who's it? Ben Davis FC.
Loves
Let's get him on.
Paratic.
Come on.
Yes, Ariane. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing
Nice to
great.
see
How about
you.
you guys?
Yeah, I'm
You
doing
guys?
good.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been a
different
while,
little
man.
angle. You got a different setup. I like it.
Yeah,
Good.
but sometimes we go now. So I got a laptop here. It's here. My monitor's here. So sorry about the side angle.
You playing solitaire or something while you're on call? I don't mind. It's all right.
No, you guys. I'm sure you're watching this.
Ariane, what's your opinions with everything going on at Tottenham at the moment? Obviously, the last time we spoke, back end of last season, we were all quite angry and upset with the way things are going. How do you feel it's going right now? There's a bit of a sense of optimism around the club right now.
Yeah, last time we actually spoke was when Manuna got appointed recently. And I was super excited. And actually, I think the last caller mentioned that video of Valencia versus Real Madrid. If you want to know just how much of a masterclass that was, he had Mustafi and Otamendi marking Ronaldo and Bale, and he managed to win the game, by the way. Mustafi was on Ronaldo. You cannot win a game with Mustafi not marking Ronaldo. So I think just because of that, he deserves a statue outside the lane, in my humble opinion. Man, so that's the equivalent of getting like Ben Davis to mark Ronaldo. I mean, seriously.
He can mark Ronaldo in his sleep, can't he? Surely.
Oh, of course he can. He can mark anybody. He can mark Messi. He can mark Ronaldo.
Just before you go on, talking of Ronaldo a second, did you see the whole mistake that happened with the Tottenham Facebook page a couple of days ago?
I had not.
Apparently, they posted a picture of Ronaldo, and they quickly deleted it after 2 minutes. Did you not see that?
Saying he's ready for training.
Ready for training.
I did not. That is interesting.
Don Paratic is at the wheel, mate.
Oh my! Could you imagine?
What, Ronaldo in the Conference League? I don't think so.
Ronaldo in the Conference. Swap deal with Juventus. I mean, I take him. But, maybe consider, maybe Kane plus cash. But no, but seriously, I'm loving it at the club right now with Paratici at the wheel. I'm absolutely loving him. I think he's doing an absolutely incredible job. Even my name, Ben Davis, FC Paratici. The guy is just an absolute. He's a workaholic, man. Like that article about him never sleeping, man. And it's funny how Fabrizio Romano, of all people, is saying. I mean, when Fabrizio Romano says you never sleep, you gotta know, because Fabrizio's always up at 4 a.m. Saying here we go to some news as well. So when he's saying it, the guy never sleeps. It's like, it's great having somebody who actually cares about the football, being that much into it, working so much at our club, and you can just see the results. The fact that Levy finally conceded the fact that he's absolutely clueless and when it comes to transfers, I'm still, when you guys are going to ask, are you Levy out or not? I'm still Levy out. I'm still Nick out, because you can't forgive 20 years of mistakes because of one appointment. That's, if we go 5 years and down the line, Levy's consistently backing Paratici and all that stuff, I'll never fully trust him, but I will be like, okay, maybe Levy's finally onto something. If he just says, I'll handle the business, you handle the football, I can kind of understand how that structure is going to work. So maybe slowly, but as things stand, I'm still going to be 100% Nick out, Levy out. But let's not focus on the negatives right now, because Dom Paratici, the legend himself, is to be excited about. And I want to be excited more about him than I want to be negative about Levy. So yeah, I'm quite excited.
And talk to us about the prospective deals, obviously, that Spurs look like are nearly through the door. There's obviously the Lamela and Bryan Hill swap deal. There's Christian Romero, who looks like to be very much on the cards. What are your thoughts on both those deals?
As far as Bryan Hill goes, I have not seen very much of him, so I'm just basically banking on what you said about him in the Olympics against Australia when he came on. So honestly, just from that, he sounds exciting. I mean, look, a youngster from Sevilla that apparently has been, there's been articles where he's been quoted to be 100 million value or whatever. There's always something to be excited about, and trading in Lamela, no offense to him, he's an absolute, hero for us. I'm not going to say legend, but he's been very exciting to watch for us. Some fun and action on the pitch. We all love him. He's a good call here at the club, but when it comes to his footballing ability, you can't really get much. It's not like it's a massive risk. Oh no, we sold Lamela. We better get someone of the highest quality out there to replace him. So it's definitely going to be a great deal for us. I'm confident in that, and so there's definitely something to be excited about. But as far as Christian Romero goes, actually, I actually wanted him even before we were linked to him. I think he's brilliant. Especially, I was watching the Copa America final. He got subbed off, I think, in the 70-something minute, 79th minute. But he was immense. His defending ability was incredible just throughout the Copa America, not just the final. But in that, I think he stood out. And it's not like they looked shaky when he was off. Argentina still looked great, but when he was on, he was so commanding. And I think he had one incredible block from Vinicius Jr. Unless I'm confusing him with somebody else, but that was he was just great. And I think as Serie A Defender of the Year. He has like 2.1 interceptions per 90. He's very aggressive, so. He seems like a great player, great fit for us, very versatile, as you said, Sim. So I'm very excited if we do get that deal through the line, because I mean, yeah, it's just something to be excited. We finally get a competent center back. It's been so long, like Toby Alderweireld leaving and all that.
He's not
He
through the
was
door
great
yet,
for
mate.
us.
He's not through the door yet.
I'm not gonna say it. I say it would be great to get it through the door. I'm trying to contain myself here because look, here's the thing: even if we don't get him. At the end of the day, with Alderweireld leaving, Sanchez being up for transfer, we're getting somebody in through, and we're not going to get Tomiyasu. Not with Don Paratici, all right? He's not going to let that fly. He's not going to let Tomiyasu replace Toby Alderweireld and call it a day. All right, that's a Daniel Levy kind of thing to do. I think he wants to get somebody through the door, whether it be Romero, whether it be Koundé. So I'm just very excited to see what happens. As far as Romero goes, I'm excited for him, and I wanted him even before the link. So if he gets through, I'm going to be incredibly excited.
Do you think he has the potential to really revolutionise the defence by himself, to really improve us and improve people around him? Or do you think he's not at that kind of level just yet, like Van Dijk going into Liverpool and how he completely revolutionised that defence just by himself? Do you think he has that ability to have that kind of impact?
I wouldn't say on the Van Dijk level, because Van Dijk is probably that Van Dijk, I don't know about now because of his injury, but that Van Dijk that Liverpool got was probably the best center back in the league. And obviously, I don't think Romero is going to be the best center back in the league, but I do think he's going to be comfortably around top 10. So something like that. Look, our defense is not going to be difficult to revolutionize, right? It's like of all defenses in the top 6, ours is maybe not Arsenal. Maybe like Arsenal's worse than ours, but honestly, ours, Romero's going to look like he's going to look like Maldini coming in through the door, with players like Dyer and Sanchez being his competition, dude. So to make our defense better by an incredible margin is definitely something he's capable of, especially if we get a second one through the door. So I'm very excited. I think he definitely has the chance, because he's 23. He can grow a lot, right? And in 2 years, who's to say he's not going to be the best center back in the league? So in the 2-3 year period, because apparently we have a 5-year deal agreed with him on personal terms. So in that time, he could transform into an incredible defender, even better than he is. So absolutely, I think he has the opportunity to be an incredible defender for us and even transform our defense. Maybe not like instantly, but in the long term, definitely.
Let's say, for argument's sake, let's say we do go into the new season with Romero, Sanchez, Dyer and Rodon as our 4 centre-backs. Who do you think are the top 2 centre-backs? Who are the nailed-on starters for you going into the season, if those are the 4 choices?
I just can't make myself, or I can't get myself to say Dyer and Sanchez are going to be starting. It has to be Rodon and Romero. And I don't care if they're inexperienced. Like, I can't get Dyer and Sanchez. I can't see them play again, man.
There's no rumours at all that Dyer's going to leave. I mean, it looks as though for everyone to see that Dyer will be here next season.
He can play in the Conference League, but Dyer, against Man City, Dyer likes to put a shift in, like we saw in the final and in the 2-0 win. But other than that, I don't want to see the man play for us again. It's in the Premier League. So I want to say Romero and Rodon. It's
so
probably
the Argentinian Maldini and the Welsh Maldini, yeah.
Of course. That has to be it, dude. Even get Ben Davis and Romero.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually, what do you think the plan is with Ben Davis coming into this season? Because it's obvious that Nuno has stated that he likes Sessegnon, has tried to sign him at Wolves before. We've got obviously Sergio Reguilon there at left back as well. So where do you think that leaves Ben Davis for the coming season?
Look, unless he makes him a flying fullback, the guy's going to go at left center back. So it depends. If it's a back 3, definitely left. Even in back 2, I think he plays relatively well left center back. Probably Conference League left center back next to like Dyer, dude. That's probably going to be what it is. Unless, we see him whipping crosses from the flying.
You can't even finish a sentence.
He's trying his best.
Oh my god! Look, so he's gonna play left center back probably if he stays, and there's no rumors of him leaving. I doubt anybody wants to buy the guy, so it's gonna be probably him and like some sort of second, third, or fourth string left center back, probably in cup games and conference league, and if we're in like an injury situation, then maybe he's gonna like start, but I doubt we're gonna see very much of him this season as we saw under Mourinho.
And finally, last question from me: favorite Eric Lamela moment from his time at Spurs.
Look, it has to be the ball rolls in his box against Ajax, bro. I think it's gotta be it. Got all of our hearts racing more than any goal I'll ever score, man. My heart.
It was a decision for him to either use his right foot or do a bull roll inside the box, and
Exactly.
I think that's what happened.
Okay. But it's on a serious note. Look, had we won that game, I would have said the Arsenal Rabona like straight away, because that's the only Rabona that's ever been scored in the Premier League. Like it's out, and in nutmeg, 2 players curled into the like far corner. Like that is incredible, dude. That's it. And I was running through my house just yelling "Coco." So I mean, it was a brilliant moment. But since we lost, I think one that hasn't been mentioned that's quite good is the Chelsea equalizer he scored this season. That one was incredible. I was watching that at the LA Spurs bar, and I was jumping for joy. I mean,
Did he score a
we
penalty
beat
in that
Chelsea.
penalty shootout?
Pretty sure so, yeah.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Did he? I think he might have too. Yeah, I think he might have. But yeah, I think.
Vinny.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it to the Arsenal one anyway, just because I think if we're just talking moments, that was just an incredible moment, man. I'll never forget it. It was just that goal made me feel like special, dude.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, Ariane. Nice to speak to you as always,
All
mate.
right, you
And
guys as well.
looking forward to speaking to you up when with the season coming up. Looking forward to speaking to you soon.
See you guys the day after my birthday, after we hopefully win against Man City.
All right, let's do this.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you
come on.
Spurs.
All right, how many people we got left? 4 people. All right. So who? Let's get Joel Thomas on. Joel, how you doing, my friend?
Hello.
Hey,
Great,
Joel.
great. What about you guys?
Yeah,
cheers
very
for
good.
coming
Thank
on.
you. Very good. How are you feeling? How's your positivity levels coming into the season?
Great, actually really good. Way better than after the season we got into the UCL final.
Really? That bike. I mean, how do you assess Nuno Espirito Santo so far? I know he hasn't had much to contend with, but in terms of the signings we're bringing in terms of the way he's speaking in his press conference and the plan going forward into the new season, how impressive has he been for you?
Actually, it's been really good because he gives me that Poch vibe, like so much positivity and so much confidence. He also has that side of him where he's straightforward with the players. He's like, if you're shit, you're shit, and he's also a nice guy at the same time. So yeah.
So
He's- he gives
ruthless,
me
but
both, yeah.
but motivational.
Yeah. That's
What's your opinion on the Toby Alderweireld deal, which looks like to have gone through, him going to Qatar, Spurs getting around 13 million euros for him? Are you think it's a good deal for Spurs, or do you think maybe, arguably he's our best centre back and we could have kept him for maybe another year?
Sad to see him go, but we're now in such an era where we have to rejuvenate the squad. It's a new era whereby we are rebuilding. So like players like Romero coming in, Tomiyasu coming in, no one else. I think Anderson's going to Crystal Palace, so I would have liked to see him here. But Rodon. Yeah, so these 3, I think these guys are going to be great. Would have been nice to see Skriniar too, but how Levy is. So yeah. But what my thoughts are is that I think it was time. One day or another he had to go, and it had to be this season. But it's a good deal for him. He's going to get more money than he has gotten at Spurs. So And yeah, that's what my thoughts are. Yeah.
Joel, what do you think our ceiling is next season? Where's the highest do you reckon we can finish? Realistically.
Sixth, yeah, fifth to
Really,
sixth.
sixth?
Yeah.
You don't think we can challenge for the top 4, not even get top 5?
Not yet. Not yet.
What needs to happen for us to challenge the top 4?
One, like I said, this is a rebuilding phase, so we have to get the younger players integrated in the squad, because there's no chance, there's no guarantee that Kane is going to stay. So, but if he stays, that's a good thing. So we can we still have a lot of we have a lot of potential, but if say Kane goes, we have to make the right replacement. We have to get the right replacement. We have to bring in the correct players to challenge for such places, because we're not there yet. We haven't played a full season on Nuno yet. Not yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to play that first. Then we can see if we can even challenge for top 4 or top 5. But realistically, fifth or sixth, yes.
Interesting.
Okay, and would that mark a like if we were to finish fifth, would that be a good kind of position for Nuno in his first season? Would you see that as acceptable? Or would you think, mate? Or would you think we need top 4 again this season?
We have to be patient, because the problem is, how Levy is. He'll give you a fixed budget. I give you this much. You have this much to spend on players, and and he wants top 4 every season, so he has to be patient. He has to trust the process. Yeah. Yeah.
And all right. And what you got like any early opinions on Nuno? How he is so far? Are you liking the look of him?
Yeah, I saw the highlights of the Leyton Orient game and the other friendlies. It's good that he's included all the young players inside, and it's really good. Because one, we don't have all our first team players yet, but it's nice to see players like Niall John, Ollie Skip, and all the young players play. Yeah, he said he's gonna rely a lot on the young players this season, and I think this could be a good chance for Ollie Skip to break out. A lot of young players actually, not just Ollie Skip. Yeah.
All right, Joel. Nice to speak to you, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And hope to speak to you soon.
You.
We'll see you soon, Joel.
Yeah, see you guys.
Nice
Bye.
one, Joel.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Cheers.
All right, I believe it's Jack Konecki is next up. Let's get Jack on. It is Flat Cap. How you doing, Jack?
Is that a Peaky Blinders reference? Because he loves Birmingham, doesn't he, Jack?
Yeah, it's like him and David Harris. I mean, they present the channel together, so they both have to wear the flat caps. It's like a dress code.
Exactly.
It's dress code for the Irish Hotspur now is a flat cap.
No, right. I think with David, when he was born, it had to be surgically removed from his head. Flat cap, where with me, right, it's a bit of a indoctrination where slowly trying to become a Birmingham man over time. It's going to take a while.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you're missing Joe Lee and his accent.
Oh, definitely. But I will say I'm missing him on every halftime. And just every time he's my man to give the questions to, just to either hear that beautiful analysis or the beautiful voice.
Brilliant, Jack.
Jack.
What do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, I feel like maybe we could just start with, I almost have a bit of praise that we have to give Don Fabio, I think. But as well, I feel like I have a bit of an apology for him because I even made a video with David where we kind of just looked at all of his transfers at the time at Juventus and kind of looked at them, right, a bit objectively and kind of noticed that, it wasn't as great as maybe we had thought. And to be honest, with how he's maybe going about it so far, especially with how, we've apparently identified the deadwood quite quickly, maybe sooner than I thought he would. To be honest, he's starting off, just absolutely perfectly in my eyes.
He is starting off absolutely perfectly, but is it important for us as a fan base not to get too carried away? Because it seems as though we might be at the moment, me especially, because I'm talking and thinking about Don Fabio every second of the day so far. And at the end of the day, we haven't got a centre-back through the door yet. It's just absolute rumours at the moment with players going out and coming in. Harry Winks, Moussa Sissoko, Davison Sanchez. The only deals that we have got over the line, it seems, is Bryan and Golini and Lamela out the door. So is it important not to get too carried away just yet?
Maybe you're exactly right then. Maybe you're actually bringing us down earth a little bit. But to be honest as well, though, I mean, it seems like it was weird because it seems like maybe he was working behind the sidelines before he was really hired. And now that he's been hired, it seems like he's working quite hard again. So to be honest, I don't know what to say. I think you are actually bringing us a bit down to earth here. There's still plenty of signings that actually need to legitimately happen, that do need to actually come through the door, that do need to pass medicals and so on. The Tomiyasu thing is, very, it's almost kind of like the Sunny contract. It's kind of like, when is it actually going to happen? I kind of do agree with you. Maybe also as well, I feel like, if we're going to be shipping out Winks and Sissoko, I feel like we need to find an actual tempo setter. We obviously haven't replaced Dembele or Modric in a very, very long time. It's someone that also needs to be able to partner Højbjerg that can actually help him out. And
Could
I think
Tongi
that's
do that
another
job?
area that that's another who?
Could Tongi do that job?
Tongi. The issue with Tongi is that for me is that he's almost too talented to do that job. And that's probably something he would love to hear, and something that, I wish I wouldn't tell him, because, you kind of want our players to be a bit humble. But I would say he's someone that you actually just kind of let the role that he wants to play, let him play the role where he can do the most damage. And I don't think that's actually next to Højbjerg. I think that's, slightly in front of Højbjerg.
Yeah, and what's your opinions on the with the reshuffle to centre backs? Obviously, we needed to happen. It looks like Toby Alderweireld is on his way out, with Romero potentially coming in. Is that something very, very positive for you?
Yeah, I think Romero is like an incredibly positive signing. I mean, to be honest, he's basically been, the best center half in the Serie A, if not some of Europe's top 5 leagues as well. Some of the stats that he's been producing over there have just been absurd. He almost seems like a guy that once you let him out of his cage, on the pitch, you almost can't slow him down. You almost want to put a leash on him kind of player. I think he averages like the most pressures of any player in his position. I think across like the entire pitch, he also has, I believe, the most interceptions in all of Europe's top 5 leagues per 90. I mean, the guy is just someone that just seems to be extremely aggressive, but also seems to have definitely a good head on him and can actually see the game quite well. Again, he's extremely aggressive, and that could be someone that we actually would be quite happy to see, because to be honest, with the likes of Toby and Moon Boots there, it's been really quite tough to actually see players. It's been tough, right, to know what a good center back looks like, maybe especially one of a younger age. And I'm actually quite excited for this Romero. The idea that it might be moving up to maybe somewhere in between like 50 and 60 million pounds seems a bit expensive, but considering that, like I said, he's practically statistically the best center half in almost all of Europe's top 5 leagues, if not the Serie A, then yeah, almost worth the price.
Ali Gold mentioned in his update yesterday, I think it was, that if we do sign Christian Romero, it might be the most important signing Tottenham have made in quite a long time. How do you agree with that, or do you think he's overstating it a bit?
It's hard to say whether he's overstating it, because to be honest, we are actually signing someone with a very similar, mentality to that of Højbjerg, and we've seen what Højbjerg, the impact he has on the squad, the impact that he has even on their performances and keeping us in games. If we didn't have Højbjerg this season, I mean, probably guaranteed we wouldn't be challenging for, top 4, top 5, the way that we were. And so to be honest, if we get another Højbjerg mentality in the team, especially one in the center half position, you could see that as being, maybe like that statement there, as being maybe, the signing of, the decade for Spurs.
Interesting.
All right. There is some interesting activity going on Twitter. I want to just bring. Can we bring it on while we have a call? Is that possible? I don't even know.
Go for it.
Because Sergio Reguilon's been tweeting. He's saying,
Reggie.
Can we bring it on screen? Is that possible?
Yeah, bring it on screen. We'll bring Jack back on when
No problem.
when we've read it.
All right, so there's Reguilon's tweet. Announce it, Spurs official. And then so he's tweeted that, and then Spurs official have replied to that tweet saying dos segundos, which means 2 seconds.
Jeez.
So I think the announcement is incoming for Lamela and Bryan Hill. That it looks like this announcement is imminent. So
His
that
name
looks
is
like
Bryan. He comes from Seville.
So this is
Bryan Hill.
So this is getting exciting. I think I'm getting very excited about this announcement. So that's what's going on Twitter at the moment. Sergio Reguilon urging Tottenham to announce the Hill transfer.
I love that. Absolutely.
Honestly, yeah.
Love that. Jack,
Yeah,
what's
Sergio
your
being the agent off the pitch? Being an agent off the pitch, they probably were playing Fortnite or Call of Duty together, to be honest, and he probably just dropped a couple Tottenham kind of hints in there, and it maybe worked out.
What's your opinions on Bryan Hill? Have you seen much of him?
Yeah.
Have you seen much of him?
To be honest, it's this last season.
And here we
no,
go.
I
It's
feel
just
like
been announced.
This
Just
last
been
season,
announced.
no. But in terms of statistics, I definitely have just done all of my research on him, and this guy is definitely one for the future. I mean, considering that he was also playing for Ibar, that did finish bottom of the table this last season, this guy is averaging, some of the highest, statistics, and like the position that is a very difficult creative position. And so, to be honest, he's averaging great stats. I think he's averaging like 2.5 key passes per 90, which is something like the 93rd percentile of La Liga. And when you think about La Liga, right, those are players like Messi, Dembele, Lego Bale, Benzema, and things like that. And to be honest, he's been averaging ridiculous stats for someone playing in the bottom of the league. He's also incredibly good at progressing the ball with those feet, has tons of progressive carries, which is kind of that stat where someone who's actually able to turn with the ball and just carry it up the pitch with their own two legs without needing to pass it or anything. That's very valuable. To be honest with Bryan Hill, he is a bit of a Spanish sensation. He is a bit of, an expensive, wine on the menu. But to be honest, I think he's definitely one for the future and will actually age really well.
Yeah,
Alright.
definitely. I completely agree with that. The guy in the back end has just popped out for a second, so we're just going to keep you on for
Okay.
one more minute. One more minute. But yeah, how excited are you for this coming season? Is the Nuno revolution the revolution that's really going to take us forward? And what do you think our ceiling is for the current season?
It's hard to know what the ceiling is, in terms of the league. But to be honest, what I'm really expecting from Nuno is some sort of really good cup run. Because with Nuno, he's actually had, a fair few decent cup runs under his belt. He's had a very decent run with Rio Ave, right? One of his first clubs. He made it to both of the, Portugal's domestic league finals. With a very small club there. He's made really good runs before with Wolves, right, where he went actually quite far in the FA Cup and somehow lost it out in the semis to I think it was who was it to? It's hard to think. It was
Watford. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were 2-0
so
up. I remember
pretty-
that. They were 2-0 up.
And they made it that far and only to lose out to
So
Watford
Spursy.
in the semis. Yeah, quite Spursy, right. And then as well, like I said, he even lost 2 finals as well, quite Spursy. But it's more him getting there. Even with Wolves, he made it quite far in the Europa League, only to lose out to Sevilla, who practically win Europa Leagues like it's second nature to them. And so, to be honest, I think he's actually showing that he is a bit wise, a bit intelligent when it comes to maybe these kind of cup battles, these kind of cup runs. And that's what I'm expecting from him. It's a really good cup run. A trophy would be lovely. But in terms of the league, maybe the ceiling you might say is 4th. You could probably
Really, you
say.
think we can break the top 4 this year?
I think you can, just because simply what he has done at Wolves before, playing obviously maybe a bit more pragmatically, but like I said before, he is actually one that does know how to, he's just a wise, intelligent manager. He obviously has maybe the best beard in all of world football. So all these things you have to take into account. And to be honest, in Nuno we trust. And as well, like I said, he looks like the smartest man on the sidelines. And I definitely see him at least taking us somewhere, either really far in the cup or maybe even really far in the league.
And what is your last question? What is your favourite Eric Lamela moment, seeing as he is officially out the door now?
Right. That when you brought up that Martin Tyler 3-0 Lamela commentary, that did bring a bit of tears to my eyes. Love Martin Tyler as well. Obviously, any of the Jack Wilshere moments were just absolutely glorious. And so maybe between those two, I can't pick. It's kind of a lot of that off the pitch kind of stuff for me. It is that kind of, he always looked a bit crazy. He looked like someone you wouldn't want to look in the eyes, kind of player. Apparently, even recently, Dane Scarlett and those guys were saying he's the, most vicious tackler in training. I think a lot of those things maybe we can, remember Lamela for.
All right, Jack, absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Cheers, guys.
And keep up the good work on the Irish Hotspur and all around
Appreciate
YouTube.
it.
So
Appreciate it.
big up
Appreciate
yourself.
it. See you guys.
Cheers, Jack. Let's get the phone up because we do have the breaking news.
Bryan Hill.
And there you have it. Bryan Hill is officially a Tottenham player, announced by on the official Twitter. There he is. So very, very exciting. Bryan Hill, apparently it's a contract until 2026, so a 5-year contract for the 20-year-old. And he comes with Eric Lamela going the other way. 25 million euros plus Eric Lamela, and that deal is now confirmed on the Spurs official Twitter, and we can see on the Sevilla side as well. Let me just get that up 1 second. We can see Sevilla. Here we go. Eric Lamela has been confirmed as a Sevilla player
That's
on
such
the.
a Photoshop
Yeah, I was
picture.
about to say his bicep is not that big, is it? No way is that actually Eric Lamela.
Unless
surely.
he's been real like dogged gym work in the summer. That looks Photoshopped to me.
They've hashtag We Are Sevilla, hashtag Never Surrender.
Never surrender.
Never
eh?
surrender. So maybe they're definitely getting to know Eric
No
Lamela.
surrender.
So that is the breaking news. The deal has now been announced and it is official. Eric Lamela has gone to Sevilla after 8 years of service to Tottenham Hotspur, and Bryan Hill is now a Tottenham player. So time to get excited about the new signing. Time to get excited about what's to come for the new season with the new player. And obviously, it's time to say farewell to Eric Lamela, who's been with us for a long, long time. He's been part of the furniture for Tottenham for such a long time. It's going to be weird to see him in another team shirt. But good luck to him. I wish him all the best. And I'm sure he'll have a good time at Sevilla.
Yeah, I'll definitely be looking out to see how he progresses in a Sevilla shirt, that's for sure. But let's just get through these super chats. First one from Sasko Eliu saying, did you guys heard about Chelsea showing off their trophies before the game? No, I didn't.
Yeah, in a friendly, they're going to be showing
really?
off
They're gonna
their
be-
Champions League trophy, the bastards.
Oh, the champions, so I see. Forget them. And Jerome Cloridor says, Guilt in now. We need is to get Romero and Koundé, then get rid of Dyer, Winks, Sissoko and Aurier, and then bring in a striker and a right back. So there's still quite a lot of work to do then.
Definitely a
let's-
lot of work to do. And Regulon has tweeted, "Here we go." So he's been very active. I know. He's a good friend of Bryan Hill. They were together at Sevilla, so they know each other well. So that's why he's been very involved in the announcement. Clearly, very planned. And there you go. Regulon, a happy boy, and very happy and excited Spurs fans.
Let's get Bob Spur on. Bob, we've confirmed the signing, but he's not holding the shirt. But you're holding the shirt for him, I see.
There we go.
How you doing, Bob?
Oh, he's on mute, I think.
There you go.
There you go, Bob.
Yay.
Yeah, it's so typical that Levy's gone for Bryan on the back rather than Gil because it's bringing in a bit more money. But no, really good.
He's not holding the shirt yet, though, Rob. Can we believe it?
Yeah, we'll believe this one because it's confirmed by Spurs, but he's not holding the shit. No, he's one of those. Obviously, it's all tongue in cheek, isn't it? We've been there before. We've seen so many players go by the wayside, managers go by the wayside, so there's always going to be that apprehension while Levy's in charge. And if anything, you're probably a bit more frustrated that with these players coming in, likely to come in, being linked with. If he'd got his finger out and got a manager in earlier, we would have been in a much better position at the start of the season, rather than having to bring in these youngsters at the last minute and having them to bed in. Because if we'd got Nuno in when we should have, i.e., straight after the end of last season, we could have had some players in playing the pre-season, getting used to Nuno's tactics. So no, this happening. Good on Paratici, but still vehemently Levy out, still ENIC out. That's not going to change just because of a few signings, mate. No chance.
What needs to change, Bob, for the fan base to do a U-turn on Daniel Levy?
I think it needs to be progression. It needs to be a few seasons of consistent progression. You know, I think someone mentioned earlier, it's all very well getting all these players in, potentially all these players in as well, but if he doesn't, I don't want him to rest on his laurels like he probably did under Pochettino. You know, a couple of top four finishes, and it was like, right, there we go, we've got a team, off you go. There needs to be progression. Alex Ferguson did it the best, didn't he? Regardless of success, he always brought in one or two players. Even though we didn't have to be world class, just keep that freshness there. And when we were challenging for the top four, not challenging for the league, it didn't really require world-class players, because everyone was saying, you know, first 11, there's no one who could come in. But we needed that freshness. We needed a couple of players to come in and just give a new feel to the whole place. And like I say, I believe if we get the right personnel in, I think we can challenge for. I think we'll get top 4. I honestly mean that, but that's being Spurs fan, being delusional and
I
clutching at
can
straws.
see
But I
those
do believe
lily white tints on you there.
that's it, mate. Yeah. But I've always said that. A top 4 finish, if we get the right personnel, if we get everyone we're linked with, I think we can do it. Because at the moment, we've just essentially, if you stand back and look at it, we've got a goalie on loan and we've got a youngster with potential who's not going to be a first team star. We know that. But we've got the likes of Romero in.
You don't think he's going to be part of the first team next season?
I don't think so, mate. No, I think he's young, isn't he?
He's 20 years of age. We have spent 25 million plus Lamela for him, so you would think with that kind of money, we expect him maybe not to be an instant starter every week, but definitely to be in and around the first team, you would think.
Yeah, I think we can't. It's about the expectations. I think as a fan base, we don't want to put too much pressure on him. In an ideal world, he'll come in and smash it up and start every week. But as a 20-year-old coming from abroad, I think our expectations need to be, let's just wait and see. But we hope it's a Dele Alli situation. He comes, it rips it up, and suddenly becomes a first team starter, which is a rarity. But as an expectation, put it this way: if the window's finished tomorrow, we wouldn't be happy with a Bryan and a Galini. So I do think we need some. I mean, Romero, if he comes in, mate, I've made my views clear on Romero. I can't wait for a player like him to come in that defence with the likes of Rodon and Tanganga alongside him. Yeah, not that difference in age, but the experience he brings in, the class that he's evidently got. That'll be they're the type of signings that I really want to see. But so far, so good for Paratici. It's a case of if Levy's going to sign that checkbook, because that's always been the case, isn't it?
Yeah, that has always been the case. But I mean, in my opinion, I think you are starting to see things moving finally in the right direction, where you couldn't say the same in the past 2-3 years. You know what I mean? Because we completely stagnated and we were going backwards quite fast. And I think that was evident last year. But also on the flip side, last year, if we would have had a good, competent defence, I think we would have easily made top 4 last year. So if we do refresh that defence, like you say, maybe we can get the top 4 this year.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I think if we get the right personnel in, i.e. a Tommy Arsu, who I really rate. Kind of worried it's been going on for so long. We did agree personal terms apparently before the Olympics, but we'll see how it goes. Romero, I want him in so bad. Another striker, regardless of Kane moving on, I think Danny Ings will be absolutely fantastic. And if he can see the vision that Paratici's bringing to the club, who knows? He might want to come in. Right-sided midfielder, obviously, we still need in. I'm surprised we're not going for more right wingers. I know Bryan's a winger and he can play anywhere along the front three, but I still think we need someone there. And I just think we need another playmaker. But ideally, 2 defenders, a midfielder, and another attacking option. I'd be happy with. But Romero and Tomiyasu would be absolutely fantastic.
Bob, I asked this question to Jack just before, but is it important for us as a Spurs fan base to not get too carried away with the job Don Fabio has done so far? Because he hasn't actually done that much just yet, and everyone's singing his praises massively. So is it important to stay a bit grounded as a Spurs fan base at the moment?
Yeah. Like I say, till they're holding the shirt is a biggie for me, and I in a way, although it's tongue in cheek, I do believe that it's all very well being linked to 584 players since he's come in. We just need the 5 or 4 or 5. The best thing that's happened so far right now is we've got rid of, although Toby's not classed as deadwood, but we are getting players out who would be surplus to requirements this coming season. So. That's a good one. We just need to shift out a few more, build up that transfer kitty, and then get a few more in. But Paratici will be judged at the end of the season. A lot of people saying, at the end of the window. No, I think until the end of the season, both Nuno and Paratici could be judged. But in a roundabout way, we'll also be judging Levy as well.
Yeah, definitely. Right. And finally, give us your favourite Eric Lamela moment.
Him signing for Sevilla. I'll never know, man. He's never gone down. The only reason why people I believe, is so much of a furore about Lamela and this, that, is because he probably stayed with us, 3 or 4 seasons too long. If he'd only been there three seasons, there would have been all this. Oh, yeah, he's going. Mate, he scored a couple of Rabonas. Every Rabona got him a new contract. For me, personal opinion, he just never did it. Yeah, all very well showing fight and spirit. I expect that from every Tottenham Hotspur Football Club player. So the fact we haven't had it,
he did call
probably
Jack
makes him
Wilshere a
stand out
pussy.
a bit more. Sorry, mate.
I said he did call Jack Wilshere a pussy. He stamped on Fabregas's hand.
Yeah.
I mean, these are legend moves, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Shithousery was great. But for me, him signing for Sevilla is probably the best thing he's ever done.
All right, Bob, absolute pleasure having you on, as always, my friend. We'll
Speak
see
to you
you
in a bit.
soon.
God.
Until they're holding the shirt.
Piss off.
Come on.
Come on, Bob.
Let's get the phone up because they've just Sevilla announced they got a little announcement video for Eric Lamela, so I thought we'd give it a watch while we're here. There it is, and you can see why the shots of him in the stadium yesterday were being used clearly for this announcement video. So here it is, Eric Lamela being announced as a Sevilla player on their official socials. So it looks a bit weird, but there you go. Eric Lamela, after 8 years, is now officially
17, eh?
number 17 for Sevilla. He'll be wearing that number next season. And there you have it. Him walking out the stadium. Oh, wow. Maybe his bicep really is that big.
No,
So
that's a
there you go.
Photoshop picture, 100%.
There you
All
go.
right, good
So-
luck
and
to
then-
Eric Lamela,
and
Coco,
Spurs
man.
have also tweeted, let's just get up just a goodbye message to Eric Lamela, a player who gave everything to the badge. Thank you, Eric Lamela. Thank you, Coco. There's a little picture.
Damn right.
There's Spurs waving goodbye to a player who's been there for 8 years. So wish you all the best, Eric.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, and it's time for the Joricle. We haven't spoken to him in a while. Let's get Jory on.
Hey guys.
Jory,
Jory,
welcome
Nice to
back.
see you.
Welcome back, Jory. How are you?
I'm good. I'm finally back home. Been
That's good.
working a lot, so missed out on a lot, and a lot has happened. It seems, especially like the last couple of days. It's going crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what's your opinions on everything going on at Tottenham at the moment? Are you feeling positive about all the changes that have been made?
Yeah, I mean, like I couldn't see it once the whole Conte, Potts, all of that debacle got done with, and then when the Nuno announcement came, I kind of thought, yeah, well, I do think Nuno is a very good coach, but under the circumstances, it felt like a defensive move. It didn't feel like something that was originally planned. But looking at it now and also thinking about it, just like because Paratici or Don Fabio, as he's getting called now, Don Fabio is looking really good, I think. Not so much because of the signings that's come so far. It's more like, at least I feel like I can see a clear plan here. He's recruiting something which I think fits perfectly with Nuno. The way I understand Nuno, it's these young, like if you take Golini, everything about Golini to me is like, this quite aggressive street kid who's gonna get his. He's not gonna. I mean, he paid Hugo respect and all that yesterday or whenever the video got released, but that's about it. Then he's gonna go for it. He in his mind, he's gonna be number one as soon as possible, And of course, that's a huge task for him. But that's the kind of player, that's the kind of kid we want to get in, especially with a coach like Nuno. That's the type of players Nuno gets a really good result with, So I think, like, just looking at what Don Fabio is doing, paired up with Nuno, yes, I think this could actually be a very, very good mix for a project. My biggest apprehension, as with everybody who's been following anything that's Tottenham related, is of course Levy. And I really think, like, now, we have the kind of the moment of truth already, and much sooner than I expected, because now we're hearing like it's 5 million different between Tottenham and Atalanta on Romero. That's the classic fail with Levy. That's where we don't get the player normally. And Romero is exactly the kind of signing we need to do, that we need to have the balls to do, and so now we will see how much power maybe Paratiti really has, and how much Levy is letting him, take the reins here, because I think Romero is Paratiti all the way. I don't think this has anything to do with Levy kind of targeting him as a potential. In terms of Kunde, I'm much more sold on Romero than Kunde. I think Kunde is a potential problem. I mean, come on, guys. If they speak French, you always have to take into account bad attitudes. You need to look at that. That's just a law of physics. It doesn't matter if it's your waiter or a world-class footballer. You need to look at the attitude, and that's just that's my main apprehension, especially since he's so quick coming out, like beyond being stupid. You're a very stupid diplomat coming out and making statements that you don't want to go to Spurs so early on. If you're like being forced to do something you don't want to do, then fine, okay, you can do that. But it wasn't even that moment was way off in the distance, but he runs out to the first media outlet and announces his feelings about it. And now it looks like maybe Madrid won't be taking him, and he might be interested then, like that. That's just, you messed it up from the get-go. Of course he's brilliant, but I don't think he's as good a fit as what I mean, we're all catching up on these players, of course, and I've been reading and watching Romero, and he seems like that Atalanta spirit is quite Nuno friendly, I think, so they're going from, I think Nuno might as well have been coaching Atalanta. I think it's kind of, they fit together there, so. And I would be very, just in general, because Sim, you mentioned Griezmann. That's one guy I can't stand. I think he's completely overrated. He's absolutely horrible attitude. He's quite the racist as well, it turns out. And I would hate to see something like that. But also, just in general, I think this project really, we should stay away from established stars. I mean, that's not what's going to help this project. We should use our money and our resources for this. We should basically be producing our own stars. Of course, Romero is already maybe a star in Italy, but Romero should be the signing that makes him now elite and like brings him now, with Tottenham, hopefully, would bring him to be considered one of the top 5 centre backs in the world. So
Jory, talking about making our own stars and getting established stars, we have just announced a transfer. Lamela going to Sevilla with Bryan coming in.
Exactly.
That was just announced. So what's your reaction to that? And is that the kind of signing we need to start moving forward?
The little I've seen and read and know about him at this point, I love the signing. I think he's also one of those players. I think like the way he plays, for example, I feel like he's very Argentinian almost in his style. He's super technical, and he'll go for the nutmeg and beat the player like that. But then he'll go straight for goal. Like, he won't be messing about. He won't try and take 2 other, like, he'll be very direct and aggressive. And also, one thing I've seen on the YouTube videos I've been able to find with him is his crosses are brilliant, which I feel like we have been a little bit lacking. When Aurier is having a good day, then we get the good crosses, but more often than not, we've not been able to cross it that well. And maybe that's all right since we haven't been that strong in the box, like header-wise, apart from Kane, of course. And Lucas, amazingly, is like the shortest guy in the pitch, seems to head them in easily every time. But I think like what's coming up is maybe like this flanking. Like we know Nuno loves that kind of style, like super fast flanks and crossing it in and like the getting the rebound and all that, So I think what I love seeing in general is like I think I see Paratici backing Nuno up completely, And that's what you, and I don't see Levy anywhere, so I couldn't be happier than with that, On
Agreed.
one thing though, I have to say, I do think all of you guys are being completely delusional if you can't see that Kane is already sold. It's just a matter of getting the details now. It's a question whether it's going to be 145 or 50 or whatever, and for example, with not playing the first game, that's one of two things. It's Kane putting pressure on the club, or it's a part of the deal. Like we won't be sacrificing. We won't let Kane take 3 points off us in the first game, basically. I don't see any way that Kane is not going. And to be honest, I think like since we're starting a project, I think this is the right time to cast out on it, considering our situation. If our situation was, if we needed 1 or 2 signings and we could go for it, then I would be very unhappy about it. But I don't think we're there. I think we're like starting almost with a blank sheet now, which is great. It's great to see that we have so many targets, that we're working on so many positions, because we know that we need almost a completely new team. There's, or at least half of the squad needs refreshing. So yeah.
Johnny, just before you go, give us your favorite Eric Lamela moment.
Well, there's so many, but I mean, it has to be the North London Rabona. I mean, there's not been many times where we've managed to humiliate Arsenal so badly in one shot, and
we still lost the game though.
Yeah, Lamela owns that. But I would say just in general, every time, I don't care what's going on in the game, every time I see Lamela on the sidelines and when he runs on, I love it, because here comes a fucker that's up for a fight. He's gonna get in there and he's gonna mess it up. And if he can't score, he'll piss some of the players off from the other team and whatever. So
or from his own team, whichever way.
Yeah. We can all like say he holds on to the ball and all that too much and stuff. For me, that's not the important part now. For me, is that it was a shame that we didn't have more of Lamela's attitude in the other players. This is the kind of type of guy, at least, I love, and he'll be sorely missed, I think. Speaking of Lamela, because he's often bundled with him, I predict that Lucas is going to have an amazing year with Nuno.
I hope you're right, my friend. I really hope you're right. But look, we'll have to see how that one plays out. But Jory, thanks a lot as always for coming on, and we shall see you next time.
Nice one, Jory.
Good to see you guys.
Good
to see you as well.
See you in a bit. Cheers, Jory.
And we have got our last and final guest, and that is the great Bryan Hill. Bryan Daigle. Bryan, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, boys. Good to see you both back together in the studio. How are you both?
Yeah, we're both great.
We're good now.
Buzzing to be back in the studio. We've got a new signing confirmed, and he's got the same name as you, Bryan. How are you feeling?
Do you know what? My first thing is, isn't it typical? I'm boycotting everything, and if there is not the perfect name and number to get on the back of my shirt now, and I can't bloody get it. But yeah, listen, it's a good signing. But what I do have to say is, listen, don't get fooled with everything that's going on, because, as I keep saying, at the moment we're buying lumps of coal. We need to go buy a few diamonds. The Romero is one of them, or Romero. My problem with that name is and his nationality. But yeah, it's let's get some big players in, and then we can start talking. But it's positive. It's very, very positive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so what's your what about Lamela going the other way? What's your opinion on him leaving after 8 years? You sad to see him go? You think it's the right thing?
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. I am sad to see him go just because of his dedication, his commitment to the shirt, and what he'll give everything on the pitch. But it had run its course. It had run its course. It's time to go. And he's gone to Spain, where I think he'll do very well. I think he'll do very well. The good thing is, obviously, his family aren't going to take any settling in time because of the language. They're fluent Spanish as their mother tongue. And I wish him nothing but the best.
How much do you expect to see of next season with Bryan Hill? We spend fairly decent money on him, 20 million plus Eric Lamela. Signed him on a 5-year deal. Bob Spur before came on and said he doesn't feel like he's going to be that involved in the first team next season. Do you expect him to maybe come in and make an instant impact, or maybe do you expect to maybe take a bit of time to settle and maybe he'll have to be second half of the season he starts getting more game time?
So I did an update with Ben, and we were talking about it. I said I find it quite weird buying a left winger because we have Reguilon, we have Sessegnon, who's going to be bombing up there, as well as Son. And then Ben said he can actually play quite versatile. So I think we're actually going to see quite a bit of it. But mainly I'd say Carabao Cup, and Conference League. But I will say about him, I have a friend over here who's a mad Liverpool fan, Canadian, and has followed Liverpool from a very, very young age. He actually messaged me a couple of days ago saying he watches a lot of Spanish football going, Bryan, you have signed one hell of a player, or about to, and when it was waxing lyrical about him. So I'm a bit more confident than I was beforehand because I hadn't really seen anything of him. But I think we'll see mainly Conference League and the Carabao Cup and maybe the FA Cup.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about your friend who watches a lot of La Liga, who was waxing lyrical about him, because I've seen on forums online where Sevilla fans are gutted that he's left. I've seen on forums online when Barcelona and Real Madrid fans are being like, how's this guy gone to Spurs so easily? He was destined for such bigger clubs than Tottenham. So it seems as though we have got one of the European gems on our hands now. And I think that it's also important to temper our expectations earlier on as well. So it seems as though we do have a big player that could have a big future that has come through the door. So Don Paratic has definitely done a good signing in that sense. But in terms of the season and moving forward, who's the kind of players that can really make a breakthrough for you this season?
I think Dave Scarlett's going to have a big say. I really do. I mean, I go on and I've said it on yours before as well. I think this kid is better than Michael Owen. That's how highly I will say that this dude is. I think he's going to be sensational. It's just whether he has a year learning off Harry Kane or however many years Kane does stay for. If he does stay, I think it will be one. But I still think, like Jory, I think he's gone. But I hope it's to be proved wrong on that one. But I think Dave Scarlett is definitely one to look for. I think people have got to say, you've got to look at Matt Doherty as a brand new player this season. And if we do go back 3, we have got the manager that knows exactly how to get the best out of him. And hopefully, Dembele will do well under him. But I agree with Yori that Lucas looks like he could be very prominent in his future in Nuno's.
What about Bergwijn?
Bergwijn I'm a big fan of. Like Bob Spur. It's just whether we give him a set position and he gets a good run out, because he just hasn't had a run out in a position at Spurs. He's had a few games at right wing back or whatever you want to call it last season. He just hasn't had like a 10-15 game consistent run to show what he can do. And if he gets it, I think he'll do well. I really do. I'm a big fan of his. But we shall see.
And last but not least, Bryan, I want to know your favourite Eric Lamela moment in a Spurs shirt.
There's only one, mate. There's only one, and it's telling Jack Wilshere, you're a pussy. That was sensational stuff. I mean, that's the thing, Eric Lamela, he got his Rabonas, he did, but it was his dedication, his commitment. And then I forgot about the Battle of the Bridge and what he did to Fabregas. There's always that. It just goes to show what Tottenham and the badge meant to him, and that part is going to be a sad loss for us.
Yeah. I completely agree. Bryan, absolute pleasure. Thanks a lot for coming on, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
Always a pleasure, boys. Levy out.
Cheers,
See
Bryan.
you later.
Levy out. See you later.
Before we end the stream, let's look at Lamela's latest Instagram post, because he has posted a goodbye post to all the Tottenham fans. He says, "Spurs fans, what can I say? It was a very long journey together and maybe more than I thought, but this club has my heart. I feel the shirt the way you fans feel it. Many good memories over the years, and I thank my teammates for these years together. I thank the people who work at the club and who always treated me excellently. I thank the fans for cheering me on in every game. I'll miss you all, and I'll carry this club with me forever." Hashtag come on you Spurs. And here's a few parting images of his time left at Tottenham as he departs after 8 years. So he's had many good memories. He's been part of the furniture for such a long time now, and it's going to be sad to see him go, but I think generally it's time for Lamela to move on. So obviously wish him all the best. It's been a great having him for 8 years, but I think this is the best for both parties.
Yeah, I completely agree with that statement, and that's a lovely message from Lamela. And I do feel like sometimes players can kind of put messages out there, but like just to get the fans on board and save face and whatever. But I genuinely feel that from Lamela is completely heartfelt and completely means 100% of everything that he has said, because you could see it on the way he acted on the football pitch. You could see it. How much he gave to the football club. So I completely take in that sentiment, and I wish him all the best in the future. That's for sure. But at the end of the day, let's just get through this super chat from Crocodox. Says, going from Anderson and Vestergaard to Romero and Koundé, the Paratici effect is in practice.
Definitely.
I completely agree with that.
Definitely.
But look, I want to say thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a mammoth, just over 2-hour stream. It's great to be back in the studio. We'll be bringing you these Good Morning Tottenhams much more often from now on. But like I said, thank you everyone for joining us today. We've got some more content coming your way for the rest of the day, so stay tuned for that. But if not, we'll see you back probably tomorrow morning for another live stream. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs!